fact, we will never enjoy true success until we learn to see the big picture. Hi, I'm Steve Diggs. This is The Big Picture. Welcome aboard. Today on the homepage, we're going to be looking at a little thing called multitasking. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can multitask. That's what I think I can do half the time. But the truth is, the experts are suggesting that that may not be the case. The real question is there any such thing as really being able to multitask? You know what I'm talking about, using our phone and writing an email at the same time, attending a staff meeting and cleaning the spam off of our computer, maybe driving and using our cell phone at the same time. Again, the experts say that multitasking is two things. It is ineffective and it is potentially very, very dangerous. Why? Well, it's because it really kind of undermines the full learning process that we pretty much depend on. And it makes it harder to access the data that we have between our ears later when we want to get it out from between our ears. And it also can devolve into what one expert has referred to as mindless spinning. It really kind of gets us to the point where we're bogged down trying to think about things that just don't hold well together. One study done at the University of California I thought was interesting. Bottom line of that study was essentially that there is no such thing as multitasking. The Basics Research Institute up in New York says that the average worker in America today is wasting about 2.1 hours every single week trying to multitask. It's not working. And what does that net out to in dollars? It is about $588 billion of lost productivity in the American workplace every year because we're trying to do something that the experts say can't be done. One expert has said this. He said that the brain can only make one decision at a time. Really and truly, multitasking probably boils down to this. It's an effort to try to do two or three things at once when in fact what we're really doing is we're doing this thing for a moment with this part of our brain, we shut it off, we go to this part of our brain, do this other thing for a moment, and we come back and forth. Really, we're just going back and forth and not doing two things at once. A study at the University of Chicago got into using our cell phones in our cars. Again, I don't care too much to hear about this one, but here's what they learned. They did a study of two groups of people. They did a study of people that were 68 and older and those that were 21 years old and younger. The job was simply to get in the car and use your phone. Here's what they learned. They learned that in both cases, it impeded their driving. The 68-year-olds, it took them longer to recognize the problem. The 21s and younger, it took them longer to react to the problem once they did recognize it. But again, in both cases, didn't serve them very well. Here's the thing that is really the worst, they tell us. The worst is when we're trying to multitask using the same part of our brain for both tasks. For instance, when we're trying to write a note and make a phone call at the same time. Those are verbal skills that require the same part of our brain. That is very non-productive. Listening to certain types of music and trying to read at the same time, that can be very non-productive. And for me, some of the rest of you, maybe walking and chewing gum at the same time can be kind of non-productive. So the question is this: why do we multitask? Why are we trying to do this? Well, the experts suggest that there are probably two reasons. Number one, there is a desire on many of our parts to be pleasers. This is where we can turn virtue into vice real quickly because we're trying to please several different people, we're trying to do two or three different things, and we're not doing any of them very well. Second reason, because we're in a generation today that loves its adrenaline. There's an adrenaline rush in many people when they're trying to do several things. Those are probably the main reasons why we tend to try to do this task that the experts are telling us is pretty much impossible. Even if we can do it, you know, we learn slower, we can't pull the data back, and we tend to forget stuff. And for people like me, my forgetter these days is already working better than my rememberer. I don't think I need to be multitasking. How about you? I'm Steve Diggs. This has been The Big Picture. I'll see you next time.